Housing developers first planted eucalyptus in the East Bay Hills during the late 19th century for lumber and scenery. But it didn't work out so well. The eucalyptus made poor lumber and is an invasive that crowds out native plants. And over the past century, the hills have grown prone to periodic, fast-moving, and destructive wildfires.
People can deny that eucalyptus are fire dangerous, but actually they're about as fire dangerous as plant material can get.
Marilyn Goldhaber lived through the 1991 fire. Her Claremont Canyon Conservancy, founded after that fire, specializes in wildlands restoration and wildfire protection. What makes eucalyptus so dangerous are Diablo winds, the Bay Area's version of the dreaded Santa Anas, that sometimes blow hot, dry air west during the fall. The wind accelerates through narrow Temescal and Claremont canyons like a chimney flute that can turn a small grass fire into a raging firestorm, sometimes within minutes.
In their trap. They want to keep on right the big line. They got all water and fuel right there. That's the only way we're going to get them. Okay. Open two in their trap. They want to keep on right the big line. They got all the water and fuel right there. That's the only way we're going to get them. Okay. Open two. I copy. How about air support?
It needs an air support.
Air support has been ordered. Tell them it's critical. We need a lot of hours. Tell them put the Hill Area disaster plan into effect. We need get ready for massive
Leave your cars and walk. All right?
in several directions. It's taken everything.
This is News 10 Night Zone.
Flames erupt in the hills of Oakland, claiming property, and now tonight, at least 10 lives, and the biggest urban fire in California history still burns out of control as we speak.
According to the official FEMA report, quote, the fire completely overwhelmed the firefighting forces of the area, consuming everything in its path, and was only stopped when the Diablo wind conditions abated. The wind had threatened to drive the fire across the entire city of Oakland. 24 years later, the federal government approved $5.6 million to cut down eucalyptus in Claremont Canyon.
The bottom line to the FEMA document is that it makes sense to take these eucalyptus trees out.
Dan Grissetti bought his home a year after the fire, just 4 doors down from where the fire burned. He founded a tiny nonprofit that has sued to stop the tree-cutting plan.
It's a choice to live in a wildland-urban interface. And when you make that choice, you accept some risks. We shouldn't even be talking about eucalyptus trees. We should be talking about, as far as I know, we should be talking about wildfire risk mitigation.
The eucalyptus oftentimes forms the perfect fire ladder because there's a lot of duff in the ground, decomposing or trying to decompose leaves and bark, and then into a branch, and then up the bark and into the canopy of the trees. It can rush across the canopy at very high speed, very hot, and send embers flying, sometimes several miles away.
It's just amazing to me how we have people in positions of authority who have no credentials in wildland fire prevention, no credentials in fighting fires, no credentials in training to fight fires, no education at all, either classroom or on the job, making policy.
According to the Hills Emergency Forum, a broad coalition of cities and agencies, including CAL FIRE, the Diablos are the biggest risk factor for wildfires in the East Bay. But eucalyptus are also a big factor, and unlike the winds, something can be done about eucalyptus.
But the agencies whose land has been managed due to this FEMA grant needs to really step up and take care of a long-term commitment. We have done weed management and trail building from the beginning since we formed.
Despite progress in firefighting and defensible space, the East Bay Hills have more people, drier fuel, and less water than any time in the past century. That makes the eucalyptus question an urgent one.
that out. So we think it's not too much of a stretch to say that at least a part of the UC motivation for this particular approach, as opposed to something more nuanced and more specifically focused on the fire risk, like East Bay Parks, is done because there are enormous benefits to them in terms of being able to expand faculty housing and other facilities into these areas that have been pretty much off limits.